Hello, everyone. Today we will talk about the grievances between China and Canada. Why is China so prejudiced against Trudeau? Recently, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit held in San Francisco, USA, came to an end. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau failed to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping, which cast another shadow on the relationship. 5 years later, the previous grievances have still not been resolved. I think that the reason why he turned a blind eye to such an important occasion and did not hold a formal adjournment was because Trudeau violated some taboos and broke some unspoken rules, which attracted Xi Jinping's view. Perhaps in Xi Jinping's view, Trudeau is just too much. He is young and is not a mature leader at all. What I want to say here is that it is impossible for China to improve its relations with Canada. This is a very abnormal thing because it undermines the foreign policy that China has always adhered to. For a long time, China's domestic and foreign policies have been completely different. Since the Mao Zedong era, China has adopted a high-pressure policy internally, turned its fangs on its own people, and used all means to consolidate its rule, while it has adopted a soft policy externally, does not make enemies of any country, hides its fangs, and paints itself as harmless to humans and animals, just like a giant panda. Therefore, it is difficult to see that China will continue to be enemies of certain countries, or even hit rock bottom with the United States, but China will still be eager to improve Sino-US relations at some point. In my opinion, China may forgive anyone else relations between countries, but it is impossible to reach reconciliation with Canada. This is really an incredible thing. The Canadian Prime Minister's performance was very calm. Trudeau still looks forward to the normalization of bilateral relations. He said, once the tension eases, he hopes to meet with Xi Jinping one day. Regarding this, I think the Prime Minister of Canada cannot wait for that day. Trudeau will definitely have no chance. Xi Jinping will never pay attention to these people on formal occasions. As far as I know, as long as Trudeau is still the Prime Minister of Canada, China-Canada relations will not be the same. There will be no relaxation. China's top leaders respect this young Prime Minister very much, and because they have laid the bottom line as early as 2018, everything must start with the U.S. trade war. On December 1, 2018, Meng Wanzhou, the daughter of Huawei chairman, was arrested in Canada and extradited to the United States, which became the trigger of the Sino-US trade war. It should be noted that due to the sudden attack of the Canadian Prime Minister, China the elevator was very strong, and in the end the Canadians had to be detained in the same way. Since then, Sino-Canadian relations have hit rock bottom. Canada, led by Trudeau, rushed to the forefront and fired the first shot in the trade war. This made China very unhappy because it was infected with the contest of the century between China and the United States. Canada could have chosen to stay out of the matter, but Trudeau did not. Instead, he chose to be the first to jump out and fight with China. This made the Chinese authorities believe that Trudeau lacked cognitive political literacy and was therefore generally despised by China. In addition, China was also likely to win one side in the entire trade war. It was difficult to come up with measures against the United States, which made China hold back its anger. In the end, it could only vent its anger on Canada. In contrast, the relationship between China and Australia has eased. As of November 4th from the 7th to the 7th, the Australian Prime Minister conducted a bilateral visit to China, which completely closed the door. It is worth mentioning that China and Australia were able to reach an agreement quickly because Australia found its position in the relationship between China and the United States and acted very smartly. Although Australia has always strongly supported the United States, it has not been as reckless as Canada. At the forefront of confrontation, Australia will never help the United States take bullets. It should be noted that Trudeau fired the first shot of the defensive trade war, which became a turning point in Xi Jinping's political career. It also made China's punishment of Canada not only based on national interests, but also perhaps some of Xi Jinping's. You must know that before the trade war, China's economic development momentum was very strong, and Xi Jinping's reputation in China and internationally reached its peak. However, after the trade war, Trump's high tariff policy and the impact of the epidemic directly cut off. This has affected the development momentum of China's economy and pushed Xi Jinping's popularity to the bottom. Therefore, Xi Jinping himself said that he dislikes Trudeau very much, or at least thinks he is reckless.